All right, fellow humans, welcome to my YouTube channel. This is the first video, which is your chance to follow the legend before it begins. Anyways, I'm Brandon. This is my daughter, Eleanor. Say hi.
Hi.
I have two daughters. The other one's out there playing with her tablet right now. But today I decided I'd start my first video off with my top 10 fantasy books of all time. These are the greatest that have ever been written. I don't think anyone will ever write anything better, to be honest. What do you think?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
It's not Dogman, right? So, all right, let's get into it. A couple rules before I start this list. One is that, like every good booktuber, I'm going to have more than 10 books on here because I like to cheat. Two is that I have a little some special entries that I'll get into why I don't want them on the top 10 list, but I still want to talk about them for fantasy. And the last thing I want to say is I have one big rule going forward because everyone knows most booktuber lists are going to end with this is the number one, The Lord of the Rings. Ooh. Yeah, Lord of the Rings is fantastic. I love Lord of the Rings. It would be up there on my list. And for fun, I will go ahead and slot it in where I think it would be as I go through the list. But I'm making a special rule to exclude it from this list. So it's like the champion in a tournament who has to like sit off to the side and wait for the actual winner to show up and battle it. You know, I just feel like everyone's waiting for it to be number one. So it's boring to know that this is going to be at number one. So like, let's take it out. And I will say that like I said, I am a giant fan of Lord of the Rings. I love this book. I love The Hobbit. I will say that I'm definitely someone who thinks the Fellowship portion of the book is the strongest. Two Towers, I prefer the movie, and then Return of the King is fine. I think that one was the hardest for Peter Jackson to film because I can understand not wanting to do the scouring of the Shire and all that stuff and how you needed to find an ending for the movies. But Hobbit I love too. I've loved that since growing up. I'm a big dwarf fan. I'm a short, fat guy, so works out for me. Think I can still name them all?
Sure.
Dory, Nori, Ori, Biffer, Bofer, Bomber, Thorin, Orin, Killy, Philly, Dwalin, Balin, Gandalf, Bilbo.
It's just like all the names from The Good Egg. There's just so many.
Yep. All right, so let's get started with our actual number 10. Okay. Now, I'm going to start out a little controversial. I'm going to start this video with a little heat, a little hot take. But my first one I'm going to start with is Of Blood and Fire by Ryan Cahill, number 10. Okay. And the reason I'm going to say this is because I think Ryan Cahill is writing classic fantasy for modern audiences. I'm going to say that right now. I have friends who have been in the fantasy genre longer than me, and they always recommended me things like Wheel of Time. I had one friend before all the controversy want me to try Sword of Truth. Terry Goodkind as well. Sword of Shannara. I don't know. I read them and I push myself through them. And I don't like pushing myself through a book, right? No one wants to do that. And I tried to get into Wheel of Time and I just found it boring, to be honest. And no shame to anyone who likes it. You know, it is what it is. But I understand when it was coming out, being a fan of it back then, you're waiting for that next book. It's the big thing going on. But now there's just so many options, you know. It's like if you go to a steak restaurant and the only thing is steak and it's the best steak, it's fine. But if there's 10 steak restaurants and I'll just like a different one better. So, and this is that case. In this book, you have a couple of kids, a couple farm boys trying to prove themselves to their town. They get embroiled in a bunch of stuff. Like I said, very classic fantasy. You got dragon egg. You got them getting split to do various things. You got, without spoiling too much. Yeah, I literally think of a classic fantasy, and this is how it starts. Now, the reason this is number 10 on my list, and there probably are some other books I could make it on there, is I actually think as a series, this has potential to grow because my wife is ahead of me in this series, and she's read to the third book now, I think. And she says that after this first book, it becomes its own thing, and it's even better. So if that's the case, if I enjoy the first one this much, because I finally got my classic fantasy fix without having to be bored. I mean, I hate to be brutal, but it's just the way it is. Then I'm hoping that this is going to be up there for me when I start the second one. So, Of Blood and Fire, Ryan Cahill, number 10. Okay. All right, let's move on to number 9. Number 9 is kind of a weird one because it's actually 3 books, but I'm just going to show one of them. We have Mort by Terry Pratchett. I'm a big Pratchett fan. I think his comedy is great. It's fantastic. I wish I could get my kids to read it, but you got to be older, I think. You got to be jaded by the world to get Pratchett. You know, you got to read his stuff after you've seen how corrupt and broken everything is. And, you know, you're just like, I can't take it anymore. I just need to know that somebody else understands what's going on. And then Pratchett comes out and he's like, hey, I'm going to just like straight up show you that I understand what's going on. So Mort is the book I chose, mostly because I had this nice edition here that I wanted to show everybody. But I would say like Guards, Small Gods, those also fit in with number 9. Mostly because it just kind of depends on your flavor. Like if you ask me tomorrow, I might be remembering Small Gods and be like, ooh, Small Gods was my favorite. Or if you ask me the next day, I might say, ooh, Guards, because I was thinking of Sam Bynes. So Mort is the story of death needing a vacation. The Grim Reaper is like, oh, man, I'm just tired of this. You know, I keep reaping people all day. And every time he's reaping souls, he's like, you know, these humans act like these hobbies are fun that they have in life. Well, I don't have any hobbies. I want some hobbies. So I'm going to go try some of these human hobbies, but I can't just leave my job because someone has to be death, right? So he gets this kid, Mort, to sort of take over his job while he gets to go experience a midlife crisis. And it's hilarious because, you know, death, while you're reading it, you're getting both like death, trying out hobbies. Like I think one of my favorite parts of the book, without being too much of a spoiler, is like he tries fishing. And it's just funny because you get the Grim Reaper just sitting on the riverbank like, well, people like fishing, so let me try it out. And he's trying fishing, you know? And then you also have Mort, who's absolutely incompetent at being deaf, trying to figure that out the whole time, too. So you got that going on, and it's just short enough to be like a pleasant read. And that's what I love about Pratchett's books is that they're weekend reads. You can jump into them, have a good time with them, and then you're done. You're moving on. So that's my number 9, Mort, but Terry Pratchett, pick your Terry Pratchett book, right? Like Small Gods, whatever. All right. Number 8. Yep. Sorry, I'm following a list because I got to know when to do my special entries because I like to cheat. Okay.
Yeah, I'm just handing the books up there and I read the thing and to find which one it is.
All right, good. Yeah, so I had to make sure she knows how to read because the house has just got books everywhere. So she's got to know. All right, number 8, to make my wife very happy as the Pierce Brown fan club, is Golden Sun. Now, I know Red Rising's been making its way around. Everybody's loving on Red Rising. I liked Red Rising. I thought Red Rising was a fun read. I don't know. A lot of people say it's like Hunger Games, and I more or less took it as like an academia, I guess, but like more in the wild. I don't know. I'm wrong. Just accept it. Please don't comment and say that I'm wrong. I know I'm wrong. But Golden Sun is better. Golden Sun was the book that opened up the world, that showed us what the point of what Darrow was doing, that showed us the broader scope of things with the planets, with the rim, but not in a way that like overwhelmed you as a reader. You got to explore that stuff in bite-sized chunks that it's like, oh, that's going on. Okay. You got to see Darrow expand. You got to see the Howlers expand. You got to see the different colors, which was nice because most of the first book, relatively speaking, you're mostly dealing with golds in Red Rising. I mean, Darrow obviously being what he is, but like, you know, you have that going on. But this book, you actually get to expand. You get to see how the society is built, how the hierarchy works. You get to meet some of the other colors, see how they operate. So good time. Any questions about that one?
No.
All right. I will say that I don't like Cassius, ever. Haven't liked him since the first book. I'm up to Iron Age now.
Who's that?
It's a character that Mom likes. I hate Cassius. He's a piece of garbage.
Daddy.
I don't know why people like him as a character.
One question.
All right, moving on.
Dad, what is this supposed to be?
That's my first special entry I got to talk about. So one book I want to mention is The Dandelion Dynasty, which I'm not going to take down. As you can see, I have the purple cool printed versions I bought for my wife. I've read the first 2 of the Dandelion Dynasty, and to be honest, Ken Liu's writing could be on any list. He's a fantastic writer, and like when I was reading Grace of Kings, I was blown away. When I was reading Law of Storms, I was blown away, and it probably deserves a spot on this list. I just can't figure out where, because when I'm done with his books, I feel like I've taken a college level course on history, and I enjoyed it. But then I start thinking about the characters, and I start thinking about other fantasy books, and I'm like, I just like, it felt like a college course. It felt like I've got to meet this masterpiece, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the enjoyment was the same level as some of these other books. So that's kind of where I am with Dandelion Dynasty. All right. Love it. Probably when I'm done with the series, it'll be up there at number 1 just because it's insanely written. But right now, I just don't know where to put it. So it's my first special entry. I'm kind of like, I don't know. Dandelion Dynasty's in here somewhere, but we'll figure it out later. All right, let's move on with number, what are we on, 7? Mm-hmm. Number 7, we got Hunger of the Gods by John Gwynne. Okay. Hunger of the Gods is fantastic sequel to Shadow of the Gods. It's got lots of action. Fury of the Gods, trying to decide between this and Fury of the Gods. A lot of people complained about Fury of the Gods, saying it was just action, and I'm like, well, yeah, it was building up to that. I mean, the entire story of Shadow of the Gods and Hunger of the Gods was building to this climax. My thing I didn't like about Fury of the Gods is the way it handled the gods part of it, which was, I'm not going to spoil it, but something you could explore on your own. I will say that, like, honestly, number 7 isn't so much Hunger of the Gods as it is Orca. Take all of the Orca chapters from the first book, the second book, and the third book, make them one book, and that's honestly my number 7, because I loved reading about Orca. Orca was like one of my favorite female characters ever written. Just everything about how she explored everything, her battling, just everything about her was amazing. So Orca and Hunger of the Gods, number 7. I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but honestly, I don't even remember too much about some of the other side stories here. I just know first book they released something, second book they're trying to deal with it and build up their forces. Lots of fighting, lots of things going on, etc. Yeah, so this book is not actually number 6. I'm just using it as a placeholder. I used to have number 6. It's in this house somewhere.
You just don't know where.
I just don't know where. So number 6 is a Dresden File book. I can't decide between 2. It's either Small Favor or Turncoat. This is a skin game, and I'm just using this as like a placeholder of like, this is what a Dresden book looks like. See, guy in the hat and the trench coat and pow pow and the wizard staff and pow 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 pow. All right, so here's why I can't decide between Small Favor and Turncoat. All right, I know a lot of people pick Changes, and Changes was great, but people who pick Changes ruin Changes on the internet because it gets brought up everywhere. So I was expecting a lot of stuff to happen in that book, so it's not a surprise. And I think because of that, it didn't blow me away. Still good book. Small Favor and Turncoat. Here's what happened with those 2 books. I read them out of order on accident. I got, I want to say 67% through Turncoat. And I was all up into that. Like, Morgan shows up, he needs Harry's help. I was like, uh-oh, the rival, the bitter enemy needs Harry's help. What's he going to do? Is he going to help him, or is he going to, sell him out? But it's Harry Dresden. He's always got to do the right thing. So he's jumping in there, casting his magic, trying to figure out who's the actual traitor in the council and all that stuff. I get like halfway through it, or whatever number I said, and
67.
Okay, 67%. And then I realized, like, all of a sudden there's this line in the book that's like, yeah, and last year on this island. And I was like, I don't remember this island at all. So I don't know what this book's talking about. And that's when I had a moment, pause my book, and I looked on the internet, and I realized, oops, I skipped a book. So I put Turncoat down, picked up Small Favor, started reading Small Favor, fell in love with that one too, because that one's got the Billy Goat Gruffs. And as an English teacher, that's just a story I thought was hilarious to be included in Dresden Files. Got the Billy Goat Gruffs, you got Hobbs, you got Michael doing Michael stuff, you got the Denarians, you got all kinds of stuff going on. I love that, but probably Small Favor wins here. The thing about Turncoat is it's got the Skinwalker, and the Skinwalker, I think, to this day, has been the scariest enemy in Dresden Files. That thing was malicious, dangerous, and I really think Harry had a hard time like figuring out how to fight that thing. So I kind of put them together because I read them together. Like I read all the way through Small Favor, then re-picked up Turncoat from where I was and continued it. So I kind of see those 2 books as one book in my mind. I know I'm cheating. I'm throwing 2 books in for one, but whatever. Who cares? It's my list. Ha ha ha. If Shakespeare can make up words, I can make up rules, right? All right. My next one is one I've been trying to convince my wife to read. She won't do it, though, because she didn't like the first one. And I don't blame her, because I can see a lot of people falling off of the first one. But what is this, number 5? My number 5 is Bloody Rose by
Bloody
Nicholas
Rose.
Eames. The first one's Kings of the Wild. I thought Kings of the Wild was a fun time, and I liked it. I see where people bounce off of it, but Bloody Rose was like such an improvement on Kings of the Wild in my opinion. The cast of characters in this book was phenomenal. The abilities that they have, the thing that they're hunting, the storyline going on with Rose, like just all kinds of stuff. I don't know. I'm trying to get Mom maybe to skip Kings of the Wild and just try this one because I think she would like this one so much more. But she's like me and doesn't like skipping stuff. So yeah. I wouldn't do that. I would have to read the first one. I liked Kings of the Wild though. So Nicholas Eames, I don't want to pressure you or anything, my friend, but I really need my third one. I really need the third book because you're becoming my George R.R. Martin right now. I know. See, I didn't allow myself to fall into that trap. Yeah. Once everybody was complaining about Game of Thrones never ending, I was like, well, I'm just not going to read it because then I won't have to worry about that, right? I did. I read the first book, but...
Daddy,
what?
I skip books. I skip like half my books in my series. I'm reading 3 at a time, and I skipped half the other books.
Your series are different, though. Like Dog Man, you can kind of...
No, I was talking about that.
Oh, which one?
I forgot what it was.
Oh, okay.
I skipped like half the books.
Oh, okay. Well, don't be skipping books. All right. Well, you can't help that because the library doesn't have them all, huh? Yeah, you're not at school. See, I used to... I
had to skip the 5th book of, whatever, Unicorn Diaries because I didn't have it,
yeah.
So...
You got to help your school libraries, people, because they want to. If you like fantasy and you want more kids to read fantasy, one of the biggest problems libraries have at schools is they'll get a series and then a kid will not turn back in book 1 or lose book 1. Now that whole series sits on the shelf and never gets checked out because they can't get number 1. So, like the biggest thing you can do to help out your school library if you want them to have more fantasy in stock is get a couple copies of like a number 1 and give it to them, so that way they can stock a bunch of like. I used to talk to the librarian at my old school, and she said she would buy like 4 copies of number 1, 2 copies of number 2, and then 1 of the rest because she's lucky if a kid even gets that far, but usually they lose number 1 or number 1 gets damaged or whatever. So yeah, work on that. So anyways, Bloody Rose, number 5, Nicholas Eames. I want my 3rd book. I know. I deal with depression too. Sorry, bud. I know it sucks. I have hope for you though. You'll be okay. I think you're a great writer. You're fantastic. Yeah. So, all right. I have, what's my number 4? Yeah, I'll deal with that after. I wrote that wrong. Sorry, Ellie. I wrote that wrong. All right. Number 4 is my Dungeon Crawler Carl book. I jumped on Dungeon Crawler Carl, I think when it was at the 3rd book. No, they just released the 4th book. That's what it was. And I was reading them on Kindle, and I fell in love because I'm going to be honest. Like, I think those books are straight up millennial gamer fun. Like, they mention everything I grew up playing, reading, watching on TV. It's designed for people like me. So I'm enjoying it. The one that hit me the hardest as like, oh my God, this is amazing, and I loved it since then, is The Butcher's Masquerade. All right. So this is number 5, and I don't want to say too much about it because I know this series is huge right now and people are getting into it. I'll just say this. Throughout the series, they mention this floor as when the hunters come, and I was all excited for the hunters, and it paid off. I was all excited for the completion of some of the side quests that were started in book 3, or was it book 3 or 2? Book 2, and it paid off. And then, like, the ending of this book, the stage that was set, I used to be a big World of Warcraft guy. Everything about the end of this book just felt like a love letter to World of Warcraft, like a raid. And I thought it was just well done. I thought the threats in this one were being amplified. I thought the expansion of the world was done very well in this book. I love Dungeon Crawler Carl. I think my biggest issue with the series is that it's getting, because I'm caught up. I've read through a parade of horribles, and it's getting to a point where after this book, I don't think I'm dumb, but I just think I'm starting to get lost on some of the stuff going on in Carl's mind. And I don't think Carl acts his intelligence sometimes. Sometimes he feels like this guy who has 17 PhDs when really he was at home like smoking cigarettes and playing PlayStation, which is fine. Some people like it. To me, I'm like, let's just ground it a little bit more because I think it's getting a little, I don't know, it's odd to say this about a book about a guy who gets transported into a dungeon made on Earth by aliens. It's getting a little unrealistic, I guess. I don't know. I like it still. I'm going to finish it. I love the series. Anyway, Dungeon Crawler Carl, The Butcher's Masquerade falls in as my number. What was this, Ellie? 4. You can tell I put a lot of stock in these numbers.
Daddy, this book, when I was placing it down, it smashed my finger.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, it's a big book. All right, number 3 is a little bit of a weird one. I don't actually have the book. I have a version of the other book I'm going to talk about. So this is my second special entry / normal entry. I want to talk about R.A. Salvatore's The Legend of Drizzt series. And yes, this book is beat up. It's got blue tape on it and everything. I just wanted to show you guys, like, I've had this book since high school, and it has seen some wear. Okay, so I want to talk about 2 books here, and it's more about your flavor. If you want this to be a Drizzt book, like Drizzt is the main character, or going through one of his adventures, then it would be the Halfling's Gem, which is the last book in the Icewind Dale trilogy. So it's about like that much. The Halfling's Gem sees the introduction of my favorite character in the series, which is Artemis Entreri. That's how I pronounce his name. I'm aware that I'm probably wrong, just like most people argue about how to pronounce Dritz's name. I say Dritz, like I'm a Southerner, we eat grits, so it's Dritz. So I don't know. But some people say Drizzit, some people say Dritzt, and I'm like, I don't know. Whatever floats your boat, buddy. Just read it. Half the names, Minzo Berenson. See, like half the names are hard to pronounce anyway.
Yeah. Anyways,
Halfling's Gem is Artemis Entreri stealing Regis or kidnapping him to bring him back to Calumport. I think it's Calumport. It might be Waterdeep. I don't remember. But they, anyways, and Drizzt and them trying to chase him down. I just love that it's got like were-rats. It's got Artemis is just an amazing character. Drizzt, it showcases this duel between 2 expert swordsmen and all that stuff. And I don't know, I just remember really loving that book. So like of all the Drizzt books out there, I think Halfling's Gem is my favorite one that has Drizzt in it. Like, that's the main cast. Now, the reason I say that is because my favorite book in the whole series doesn't even have Drizzt in it. Doesn't have Brunor, doesn't have Regis, doesn't have anybody. There's a spin-off trilogy with Artemis and Jarlaxle called, I forget what but it's like the Sellswords, I want to say. So, the book I actually love the most in the entire Legend of Drizzt I've read so far, which I've not read them all, I'm up to the Hunter's Blades trilogy, is The Promise of the Witch King. The Promise of the Witch King was a book where Artemis, Jarlaxle, and a bunch of other thieves, thugs, whatever, have to go into this very D&D, like, gothic undead castle and, like, fight like a necro dragon and fight all kinds of undead aberrations and monsters and all kinds of stuff. And it was the encompassing Dungeons and Dragons book for me, because it was like everything I want to see in a setting for D&D mixed with a cast of characters who, like an old heist movie, they got to work together, but they're looking for every opportunity to betray each other too. So the whole time you're reading it, you're like, all right, they're helping each other, but who's going to betray who? Who's going to turn on who? Who's going to switch on who? So R.A. Salvatore killed it with that book. If you need the title again, it's The Promise of the Witch King. I don't have editing software. I'm being lazy. I'm a teacher. So The Promise of the Witch King. Okay? Or Halfling's Gem, whichever one. I think the Legend of Drizzt series gets overlooked because of its simplicity. But I do think it's a great starter fantasy. I've used it with students who are really into fantasy. They seem to like it a lot. Like I know kids who want to get into Lord of the Rings. I teach 6th grade. So 6th graders generally aren't reading Lord of the Rings. I hate to burst y'all's bubbles out there, but they bounce off of it really fast. So I'll give them like Homeland, which is the first Drizzt book. I know Icewind Dale, the first one in here, is the first one, but talking about the actual first one chronologically with Drizzt, I give them Homeland, and they seem to like that one a lot. So that's what I kind of stick with. All right, moving on. So that's my kind of special entry, regular entry or whatever. What number are we at, Ellie?
We're at 2.
Oh, we're at 2 already. All right. So this is where I'm going to start ticking people off, because I've gotten into these books. They're just up my alley. I like stuff like this. I know it's crass. I know it's crude. I know that it's not everyone's cup of tea, but I'm going to talk about, as number 2, Empire of the Damned. This is the sequel to Empire of the Vampire, where we are following the Interview with the Vampire-esque inspired story of Gabriel de Leon, the Silver Saint, right? Guy who's hunts vampires and kills vampires for a living, like Blade, but in a fantasy world. I don't want to say too much because I don't want to spoil a whole bunch of stuff. I will say that in the first book, you get introduced to these families of vampires. And one of the ones I was fascinated with, because I'm a big dude, I'm always into like the berserker types, the big ones. By the way, real quick, tangent. This did make vampires scary again. All the booktubers saying, oh, vampires are scary again. Yes, vampires are scary again. Vampires, amazing in this. They have a family in it called the Devok, which are like these big brutal vampires that can basically Super Saiyan throw somebody through buildings and stuff. Like, it's kind of crazy. You learn about them in the first book, but you don't really see them. This second book's like all of them. It's all them, and they were the family that I was like, how will Gabriel even fight these guys? To see it in the second book. I haven't started the third one yet. I plan on doing it soon. But this book, I could not put down. I had to see what happened. You get introduced to a second perspective in this book, which I thought was well done, and I thought was fun how it was presented to you. Like, hey, you've been hearing the story one way the whole time. Well, maybe you need to hear the story a different way. So I was like, oh, that's fun. I get to toss between those two. This book almost made me cry. So, because I was like, there's just a lot of deaths and stuff and stuff going on, that some rug getting pulled out from under you. I don't know. I just had a great time in Empire of the Damned. I can't stop thinking about it. It got to a point where in my D&D campaign I'm playing in, because I thought a character died, but I don't want to say too much because it'd be a spoiler. Okay. But yeah, I was like, oh no. But, there's like Gabriel De Leon is an inspiration from like my current D&D character. Like I designed a vampire before I read the series for my current D&D campaign, and I could tell like the influence of reading this book is starting to feel into that character. And I was like, wow, that must mean something. So I just keep thinking about this book all the time. Empire of the Damned. Number 2. All right, number 1. So I'd probably have put Lord of the Rings above Empire of the Damned. Like, I don't know, maybe under it, depending on the day. It'd be up there. It'd be 2 or 3, right? It'd be 2 or 3, right, Ellie?
Yeah.
But number 1, okay, is not going to be mentioned yet because I forgot about the third special mention. I want to point out a book real quick before I talk about number 1. Pier Nessie by Susanna Clark. I don't have it. I read it on Kindle. I've had arguments with some of my friends that, is it fantasy? Is it not? I don't know. It's like realism fantasy or magical realism or whatever. Some people think Pier Nessie is a fantasy because most of the book takes place in this fantastical realm. It's just very grounded in some, I don't know. So if Pier Nessie is considered a fantasy story, then it would probably be on this list is my point. But besides that, let's get to my actual number 1. My number 1 fantasy book of all time right now. And I say that right now, like today, right at this moment, because it could change in 2 minutes. I have ADHD, so who knows what my number 1 fantasy book would be in 5 minutes. Is Jade Legacy by Fonda Lee. Now, I know a lot of people bounced off this book.
Don't cover me up with the book.
Oh, don't cover you up with the book. Should I cover me up with the book? Like this?
Yeah.
Okay. Jade Legacy is the finale of the Jade, the Greenbone saga. Jade, oh man, what was the first one? Jade City. Jade City was great. I liked Jade City.
Yeah.
It was very, if mafia movie met fantasy, and I was all into it. Jade War was an upgrade, and I was like, I'm liking Jade War. And then Jade Legacy, I remember jumping into this thinking, like, how is Fonda Lee going to deal with everything going on? And the fact that it has Legacy in the title made me already suspicious, because I was like, is this going to be something where we're looking at more time jumps? And sure enough, yes. Like, that's the thing people bounce off this book with, is the time jumps. They are like, I don't like how it bounces all over the place. I didn't mind it because I felt like Fonda Lee was showing us where this family's beliefs, this family's way of doing things as time goes on is like real life, with how times change, how people's opinions change, how does someone who is locked in the past have the right to dictate what happens in the present? Does the generation before, at what point does the generation before us, are they outdated in their opinions because it's just not the reality of what life is now? I felt like that's what this book approaches. I've always considered this book, I know it's got the different POVs, but I've always considered this series to be Hilo's story. Hilo is my favorite character in the series. I got to see his story play out. If Hilo is who you're looking at for your character in Jade, in the Greenbone saga, then this book's phenomenal. It just is. It made me cry at the end.
You were crying.
Yeah, actually, I cried 3 times in this book. So,
Why?
and I'm not a big crier. Like, I don't cry in books. I'm like, whatever. I'm a
Why
horror.
are you crying?
I'm a horror fan. That'll be another list. But like,
why are you crying?
because character deaths and character emotional moments and just stuff happening. Like, I got to see everything play out in this book, and I was. To this day, this might be my favorite ending of a fantasy series because I felt like I got an actual conclusion to what I was reading. I got to see how things played out, where all these beliefs led to, what the future of Jade is. And I don't need more. I know some people want more. I don't need more. I like where it is. I got this pocket of time with the Greenbones. I got this pocket of time. I got to enjoy it. So my number one of all time right now, after painstakingly going through like 50 books, there was way more than this. I had to cut down the list like 3 times. Was Jade Legacy by Fonda Lee. And I've not read her newest one, but I'm looking forward to it. I've read Breath of the Dragon. But it's like kind of YA. So I like YA. In fact, you'll see in my horror list, I have a YA book of top 10 of all time. But actually, I might technically have 2. Ooh. So Jade Legacy, number 1. I hope you enjoyed the list. I hope you enjoyed having Ellie here in the background to give you awkward stares and have her ADHD make her roll backwards and forward over and over again. But other than that,
I'm turning.
anyways, continue being humans, be good people, make good choices, be happy, be friendly. Anything you want to say?
Well, can I tell them one of the books I'm reading?
Sure. What's a fantasy book you're reading, Ellie? It's the book you're reading. What are you reading?
Wings of Fire.
Yeah, she's reading one of the Wings of Fire books. She finally got into that. So
I'm chapter 2.
Yep, she's going to continue reading that. So anyways, hope you enjoyed the video. Like and subscribe, as they say, if you enjoy it. I'm off for summer break, so I'm going to try to put out a bunch of these videos over the next month. It'll probably slow down when August hits, but that's just the way it is, because that's when school starts, and I got to get to know a bunch of new kids, and I got to get into teaching, and I got a new curriculum every year, and I got new this, new that, new this. Anyone who's a teacher, like and subscribe. I'll throw in a bunch of teacher jokes in here too, because one of the videos I plan on making is books that have worked for students in this day and age when nobody wants to read. That's an exaggeration. There are kids who still like to read, but it's definitely becoming harder and harder to inspire reading. So anyways, that's it. I think we're good.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Bye.
Signing off, Gus, TT Showbiz.
Bye.